Live from the Heart and Mind studios in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's another episode of Seriously Mental with Chris Shaw. Tonight's guest, from Stepping Stone Emergency Housing Shelter, it's Jeff Connor. And musician, author, and talk show host, Miki Speer. Now please welcome your host, comedian, and peer support specialist, Chris Shaw.
This is another show close to, can I get that door for you, Gabriel? We got Gabriel in there taking care of things. Nice to have him here tonight. Hey, so please jump on the comments either on Facebook or YouTube and leave us some notes, some questions you might have for our guests tonight. Jeff Connor, who we'll be speaking with in just a little bit, from the Stepping Stone Emergency Housing Shelter here in Anoka, Minnesota. And also a little later on, after she gets done with her own podcast tonight and web show, she'll be on. It's Miki Speer is going to be playing her new single that will actually not be released until Friday of this week. So we're pretty excited that we get this little breaking musical moment here right on the show. So I'm dressed up. That's one thing I want to comment about. Usually I'm fairly casual, and I'm trying to get a little nicer look going on. You know, I'm not wearing pants, which it's after 8, so I don't know if that's necessary to actually do that at this time of year. But I think everybody's in that COVID work from home kind of Zoom meeting mode where you know, you can even do TV shows. I think if you watch most of the people on network news, they're probably not wearing pants either. That's probably just an option. And working on these COVID-free haircuts I'm giving myself. How do you think that's going there? Today's version is called unshowered. That's right. I just threw a little grease in there. Woo! To make it happen. For those of you who don't know me, well, that's lucky for you. No, my name is Chris Shaw. I've been a stand-up comedian for over 30 years, and that was a career that I did for a long time. And most of that time I was traveling around the country dealing with my undiagnosed mental illness, bipolar disorder and anxiety. And how did I deal with it, you ask? Thanks for asking. Usually by self-medicating with alcohol and drugs, which can make for some interesting comedy and some weird nights in hotel rooms. And what I can remember from that, I like to share with people, because there are turning points I can look back to over my life and say, wow, this really points to a moment that now that I understand my diagnosis, that I can see where some things were happening and go, that makes sense. That was a sign or a symptom or a behavior that was pretty key. But I didn't know. I didn't know, and people around me didn't know. And I think it's important that we take the time to learn about the signs and symptoms. That's a big reason why here at the Heart and Mind Connection, one of the things we do quite often, even during the pandemic, is do trainings around classes on suicide prevention and also mental health and wellness. Mental health first aid, one of the ones we do quite often. And we're really excited. We'll talk about a little bit after the opening here about a new module of mental health first aid that has come out just this year, which is called Teen Mental Health First Aid. It's been in a pilot program now for probably 2-3 years with some big help from Lady Gaga. And now what happens is they've released it nationwide, and it's pretty exciting. And school districts are looking to get it brought in to be able to teach students how to be that peer to their friends and other students. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What do you do out there? Drop us a note. What do you do with your time now when you don't get to go out very much? How do you have some fun? I know for me, I try and find that even the littlest things that can make something exciting for people. I'll go to, let's say, Target to pick up some things, and I'll just sit in the in one of those changing rooms that aren't supposed to be open. But I'll go in there and I'll wait for about 10 minutes, and then I'll just yell as loud as I can. There's no toilet paper in this stall! They cut up my Target card. So I'd like some help in getting that back. Yeah, so I think that's where we're going to leave that for right now. We're going to take a quick break, come back, talk a little bit, and then we'll have our first guest, Mr. Jeff Connor. Stick around.
It's okay to think you're in a toxic relationship with the world right now.
It's okay to feel like your world is changing.
It's okay if it's hard to find the words to express how you feel.
It's okay to feel like you just want to become someone else.
It's okay if you're panicking over an inability to control your life right now.
It's okay to have trouble maintaining your normal routine while staying home.
It's okay if you're feeling more cynical than usual.
It's okay if you want to curse more than you usually do.
It's okay to wear your favorite tank top several days in a row.
It's okay to miss your job.
It's okay to just stay quiet.
It's okay to be depressed.
It's okay to talk to your cats like they understand what you're saying.
It's okay not to feel the most fabulous right now.
It's okay.
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 Coming back. Here we go. Hey, welcome back. How are you? Here I am, Chris Shaw, with Seriously Mental. Seriously, right here in our studios in beautiful downtown Anoka, Minnesota. As you can see out the back window here, Anoka, Minnesota is really teeming on a Tuesday night. Although I have a feeling that with everybody working from home, there's a few people who probably left their lights on since probably March of last year. And boy, they're going to have a killer electricity bill when they get back to the office. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, thanks so much for coming out tonight. We're working to get the streams up and running. If you're trying to tune in online there, for the other people that are here, because Seriously Mental does film in front of a live studio audience member. There's one guy over here that I can't get rid of. I think maybe he'll clean up afterwards or something, but that's really what we have going on. I want to tell you about a couple of exciting things. I mentioned this last week, but some of you weren't here, and shame, really. Where were you? I mean, there's no football on Tuesdays. I was hoping you'd be here. I'm waiting, and I'll wait here till next Tuesday. But one thing that we're really excited about is a recent partnership that we got involved in with the Steve Rumler Hope Network. And they're an organization, nonprofit out of St. Paul, who does incredible work around issues of opioid addiction and training to help people understand the use of the life-saving medication Narcan, or naloxone, as it's also known. And with that partnership, we're really lucky to have become what is called a naloxone access point, which allows us at the Heart Mind Connection to both stock kits of naloxone that we can share with the community, and also provide training to individuals and groups on how to utilize these kits for helping save a life from somebody who might be in an overdose from opioids. If you want more information about that, please head on over to our website, which is simply theheartandmindconnection.org. And do we have a shot of that naloxone banner? There, you can always tell driving by the office because we have a big sign of it sitting outside. I probably should have warned Gabriel that it was coming up. There we go. There they are, the Steve Rumler Hope Network. If I'm hoping that some of them are tuned in tonight. See how I tied that in there? That was, wow, that was good there. It's really, it's like newscasters when they try and tie in from one segment to the other. Like, let's go to those lotto numbers. They're 7, 4, and 2. And speaking of lotto, there is a lotto crime in the city tonight. Let's go over to the news desk. So that sometimes happens. I'm also dressing up because I'm really pushing to get that midnight Sunday night news anchor slot on 45. 45. So I'm hoping if I look the part, they might bring me in. Hi, Chris Shaw with the news. It's bad out there. Don't go out there. Stay inside. That's where I would be. With that, please do say something to us. Let us know how you're doing. We have operators standing by, manning the digital phones, but don't call right now because I'm busy. I wouldn't be able to answer, and I feel really bad. So, but call after. We'll just be sitting around, wishing that I hadn't dropped out of barber college. Really, man, that was the way to go. Probably. I got a football scholarship to barber college. I don't know if you guys knew that. Gabriel, I don't know if I ever told you that. Actually, got a football scholarship. Yep, I know, right? Minneapolis Barber College. We were the Fighting Cowlicks. Yeah. Our cheer was moose 'em back, way back. That's right. I was a loose end. That's what I played. And I could go on with this, but it's really pointless, especially when waiting on the line. We have our first guest for this evening. So let me tell you about him. Jeff Connor, who I mentioned before, is the development officer for the homeless shelter Stepping Stone Emergency Housing in Anoka. Stepping Stone's mission is to provide emergency shelter and critical support services to individuals 18 and older, experiencing homelessness as they strive toward self-sufficiency. They're the only shelter of their type in the 5 suburban counties of the Twin Cities metro area, which is an interesting and unique thing we'll find more about here in a moment. Jeff became development officer after volunteering at the shelter and helping in the kitchen and providing mentorship to the residents. The most significant impact Jeff makes as development officer is through donor and volunteer relations, which we know now, especially when it's hard to get people to come out and volunteer, that getting people to volunteer in any capacity is quite a feat. So we'll ask him how that's been during this pandemic. The mission at Stepping Stone is to achieve, through the help of generous supporters and adherence to core values of empowerment, respect, collaboration, and stewardship. And we're so glad to have him here tonight and collaborate. Please welcome to the show, Jeff Connor. Here we are. Hey Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing well.
They're doing the wave out there, a 2-man wave.
I get better and better every second.
It's amazing. That's
awesome.
Woo!
I've never had such a cheering section before.
Nor shall you again.
Probably
we can
not.
help it. We don't know how they got in.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, so glad you could come out tonight, even by being on this little screen next to me. I really appreciate it. Tell us, Jeff, first a little bit about the shelter. And you're right here in Anoka. Where are you located?
So we're on the grounds of the former state hospital, which is just north of downtown Anoka. off of 4th Avenue.
Oh, sure.
So the Cronin building, I think it's building number 14 is the one that we're in. So we occupy the main floor of that, and then the lower floor is where our kitchen and we have kind of a rec room and gym and things like that for them the residents to hang out in.
Those are some incredible buildings. I stop in to see the people at Haven for Heroes over there on a semi-regular basis, and they're in a few of those buildings. And wow, it's amazing the architecture inside some of those, and just what they've been able to utilize those buildings over there for. So, how long has the shelter been up and running? You said that you volunteered there to start?
Yeah, well, so volunteered to start, gosh, back in, I don't even know when. It's been a couple of years ago, I guess, that I started volunteering. I found out about the shelter by reading the local newspaper. There was a story on our executive director, Julie Jepson. And
sure.
For anybody who knows Julie, you know she's awesome. Does a fantastic job, and just she's done an amazing job with both staff and residents and just helping people achieve, I think, out there. So that's what got me started with this. I really got involved, wanted to get involved because of my own journey and personal growth and development. Wanted to give back, and I went to a Tony Robbins seminar and came back and thought, ooh, I could do that. And, you know, so
where do I start?
But Julie, she had me tap the brakes a little bit, you know, and we started slow. I actually started out just going in on Tuesday afternoons to work in the kitchen, helping Tammy in the kitchen prepare and serve a meal for lunch, and got to know some residents that way, and started just building a little familiarity, and then that led me into helping them out with their jobs club, with the ultimate goal to provide mentorship / coaching to the residents as they, you mentioned, strive towards self-sufficiency. So that's a big part of the equation, is their own effort in all of this. And I wanted to be somebody who could come alongside them and help. You know, sometimes we just need somebody to cheerlead for us. We need somebody to advocate for us. Sometimes we need somebody to kick us in the pants when we want to just sit around and watch TV all day.
More, right.
You know, those types of things. So, yeah, got involved, Jobs Club. That kind of shifted into a mentorship role, and then a significant life event happened to me towards the end of 2019, and got me kind of rethinking careers and stability for my family. And so learned that the development officer position was open, so went and talked to Julie, and one thing led to another. And February 10th, I started as the development officer for Stepping Stone.
Wow, that's incredible. Tell me this, when you first went in and started doing that volunteer work and started thinking about what it was that you could bring to the residents there, what was it that you found was kind of your sweet spot? Besides your cooking, I'm sure, which was probably excellent. But what did you find that you had that you could share that meant the most to the residents there?
That is an excellent question. You know, when we talk about that a lot, that we want to come in and save people and, you know, change their lives and have these major impacts. And it's, again, Julie helped tamp that down a little bit, you know, and set my expectations. What I've come to realize, I guess, more than anything else that I think I provide is just a set of ears who can listen. Somebody who is willing to come alongside these folks who are in, you know, experiencing some of the toughest situations of their lives. Yeah. And just be with them and let them know I care. I think that's the biggest thing, is just being caring and kind and seeing their humanness. That's what I love about our core values, the empower, the respect. You know, it's easy to imagine, you know, when you're working at a homeless shelter and you've got these folks coming through eating a meal, and, you know, they don't always say thank you. And I don't expect that. Nor should anyone expect that, but it's easy to start thinking, well, they should just be happy for what they're getting from me or from anybody else. And I think that is one thing that I've always brought to it, is that above anything else, I want somebody, when they're sitting down across from me or we're chatting, I want them to know that I see them and that I care about them.
I think one of the things we talk about a lot in class, whenever we're doing trainings, is that it's easy for people to jump in their mind to a thought like you just expressed about, you know, they should just be happy to even have a meal or a warm place. We very seldom can stop in the moment and think about where somebody has been and what their journey up to that point has been. And it doesn't necessarily mean, right, that they aren't appreciative, but that everything else that might be going on in their mind at that moment. Not saying thank you wasn't a on purpose moment for them. It was just, I'm just here, and I'm just so glad to be in that space. Listening, that whole listening thing, as peer support specialists, we really get that, because very often it's just about hearing somebody's story. We find that with older people and younger people alike. What, before the pandemic, as you were volunteering there and things like that, and then over this last year, what has been kind of the change, if any, trajectory of the people that have been coming in? Have they become younger on average, or has there been a different demographic that has kind of taken over?
Just through the pandemic? I haven't noticed. Julie would probably know better than I would, but
After
I don't
the break,
recall.
Julie will be with
Yeah,
us.
we'll give her a call up. I'm sure she'll be happy to get a call from you at
I don't know why this guy's
8:20.
here. Julie. I mean, I think he's bucket for a raise right now, Julie.
Yeah. No, we do pay attention to those demographics and the changes. I haven't noticed any difference or shift in those demographics caused by COVID, pre-COVID, and just, leading up to now. We've seen a growing population of senior citizens, so the elderly, and we're seeing a growing population of youth. So we talk about youth as being like 18 to 24. They still meet that 18-year criteria. So we're only housing and sheltering adults. But a big part of our population in the shelter are kids who have aged out of foster care.
Wow. And,
we like to say, if you were ever in an emergency situation and you needed help, say you needed $1,000 critically right now, think of 5 people that you could reach out to. And most of us can do that, but our residents can't. And a lot of these residents who have come out of foster care, they may not have anybody, period, that they can call. And so that's why, our shelter is so necessary for taking care of folks in those emergency situations where they just need some stabilization and they need an ability to just take a few breaths, collect themselves, and start forming that game plan to get back into stable housing.
That's great. I mean, even something as simple as a car repair, that could be the difference between your ability to get to work and back. For people who may be out of a job or trying to work on a very limited budget, a car repair or a trip to the doctor could really, where other people, I'll just pay that. For some people, it could be like, I need to take a loan out just to get my car done, and it's unimaginable for some people that something $800, $1,000, $2,000 could stop somebody in their tracks.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point here in Anoka. Transportation, in the North Metro, outside of the kind of metropolitan area of the Twin Cities, transportation is a huge deal. I'll give a quick shout out since you mentioned it, because we partner a lot with a friend of mine who is the director at Cars for Neighbors, Joe McKenzie.
Oh, excellent.
And he and their organization have helped many of our residents with car issues and helping them get safe and reliable transportation back out on the road so they can get to their jobs, get to their medical appointments, get to their therapists and whatever other resources that they need to be able to go to. For us, if I want to go to Walmart, it's maybe an hour, 2-hour part of my day, depending on what I'm doing there and where I'm coming from. For one of our residents who might have to take a bus, it could be like a full day adventure for them.
Right. It could be hours before the next one's turning around, coming back.
And just, you can just kind of start to imagine the inefficiencies of that. And, all I needed was some deodorant, and I got to take a whole day to just go get a Stick a deodorant.
Or even try and have a couple of job interviews in a day, or a job interview and a doctor's appointment. Can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do one or the other. I can't do them both. So, so many issues going on, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your knowledge on kind of where we're at as a state right now, and maybe how that plays into the county. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Jeff Connor from Stepping Stone Emergency Housing Shelter. Stick with us.
You have served our country and made us proud. Many of you are still serving. Some of you have come home to our communities where you continue to lead and contribute. Some have come back from deployment to find new challenges at home. Every family can have challenges. In or out of uniform, we need you to continue to serve and help your battle buddies, families, and communities. It's important that we all learn the 5 signs of emotional suffering: personality change, agitation, withdrawal, poor self-care, and hopelessness. If you or someone you know is experiencing one or more of these signs, reach out and offer to help. I reached out for the support I needed, and it made all the difference. This is how we keep our units, our families, and our nation strong. Visit changedirection.org. You have served our country and made us proud.
Oh, hey, we're back. Gabriel, how are you? That's our producer, Gabriel Rios, in the booth there. I tell you to shout at him, but too many things going on at once, and he really loses track. Squirrel! We're back on Seriously Mental with our guest this week, Jeff Connor, with an E.
That's important.
Gave him a hard time about that earlier. You know, I had put out an email mentioning the guest for this week's show, and I put an O on there, and he let me know right away. He goes, "It's with an E." I was like, "Who does that?" Apparently, Jeff does. Jeff Connor from Stepping Stone Emergency Housing Shelter in Anoka, Minnesota. On the break, Jeff, we were talking about, and we brought up that it's seriously mental, and I think that's probably one of the biggest points you could probably talk to, as you mentioned, is that this shift of what has happened during the pandemic and the way that all the aspects of it have had an effect on really everyone's mental health in some aspect, whether it be additional anxiety or depression over the lack of connection with other people. What are you seeing with people that come through your shelter that is really key to recognizing that they're having some issues, that their mental health might be a driving factor in their homelessness?
Yeah, so pre-pandemic, last year, 2019, we had about 514 unique residents come through our shelter. In 2020, that number dropped down fairly significantly to 355. A big part of that, I think, is maybe some longer stays and not quite as much churn.
Sure.
But then also some folks have just found it very difficult to tolerate the social distancing and the isolation required. We're a congregate living shelter, so we have a men's wing, we have a women's wing. We typically will house 66 residents at a time pre-pandemic. Once the pandemic hit, we actually pivoted and moved half of our residents to an area motel down the road, just to create some more space.
Wow.
So instead of 4 to a room, there would be only 2 to a room. We'd have less people coming through the cafeteria at any given time. But along with that has just come some serious isolation problems. Early on, we were minimizing, we're not a lockdown facility. They're not required to stay there. But we have to have rules for the safety of everybody, and one of those was limiting the amount of time that a resident could leave the shelter in a given day. And these are things we don't even think about when we're living at home. But there, if you're told you can only leave for 2 hours a day, twice a day, that can become pretty problematic. We were just talking about transportation, prior to the break, and pretty tough for somebody to get out there, get on the bus, go to where they need to go, and get back within that 2-hour time frame. So it became really tough. Another thing that we saw that has been really hard on folks from a mental health perspective is the getting therapists in. We're doing telehealth. We've had to go out and buy iPads and all these things, but
is that how you've been handling it?
Yeah,
people who are doing it through.
I would say handling it might not even be the right word. Tolerating it,
sure.
It's not the same.
No.
And to get so we've been making a concerted effort to try to find anybody out there who maybe is a private practicing therapist, because the larger ones we found, with their corporate rules, they're not allowing their employees to come into the shelter and do face-to-face. So we're very interested in connecting with anybody out there, therapists, counselors who would be willing to come in. We've got lots of, sanitation and separation type of things, but we just need to get people into proximity.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to our friend and partner in town, Jamie from the Mental Wellness Campaign for Anoka County. Jamie, if you know anybody that might meet the description Jeff is talking about, that would be willing to actually do some in-house visits there, give a call, either myself or we'll have Jeff's information available at the end of the show as well. Hopefully there's people out there. I think once people start getting vaccinations and start feeling comfortable taking on that role again, but you bring up a great point for somebody who finally gets an appointment, maybe for the first time in their life, with somebody to start addressing those mental health concerns, and then one of the main things being their lack of connection to other human beings, and then say, here's your therapist, just look at this computer screen, and trust being an issue and things like that. I can see how that can really be a challenge. When someone comes in and they're having a really hard time, is there any kind of standard protocol that you work with if somebody's in maybe serious crisis or develops into a panic attack or a depressive episode or a psychotic episode? How is your staff prepared to handle those kinds of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're not medical professionals. Our shelter advocates, those are the folks who are in there kind of running the day-to-day and making sure that things operate smoothly, that residents are where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there, doing the things they need to be doing to get back into stable housing. But you gotta repeat the question for me again.
What is your staff's kind of protocol around somebody who might be in a crisis?
So we have standard operating procedures. One of the things that we just did in our strategic plan over the last 3 years was put together those SOPs that address those types of things. We have some great relationships with local law enforcement. One of our board members is actually on the Anoka City Police Department. Excellent. He's captain out there, Andy Youngquist. Hopefully, he's on our website, so you can see him too. But so those relationships and knowing who to call, hospitals, emergency services, that's pretty much what we do. We know the first aid type of things to do to help people in the moment, but it's about getting professionals out there to take care and help these individuals through whatever crisis they're going through.
We often talk about that when we do mental health first aid training, is that you're not being trained to provide therapy or write prescriptions. Your job is really to be that bridge and understand the resources available and help that person toward that next step.
Yeah.
Because I think far too often people just say, hey, here's an 800 number. If you're feeling suicidal, call that.
Calm down.
Breathe. I can't breathe. That's why I'm having a hard time right now. And people think they're, although the other side of that, Jeff, and I wonder if you find this sometimes, the other side of that coin is very often we talk to people and they're like, I'm so worried I'm not going to say the right thing, so they don't say anything at all. And you brought up a great point earlier about sometimes it's just letting people know that they see them, that you even recognize that I'm alive as a human being and I have value. So sometimes is it as simple as just a hello or how you doing?
Yeah, I do a podcast of my own, and it revolves around mental health and stuff too. It's called #Lita Love is the Answer, and the reason I'm bringing it up is I actually talked to a lady from Miami, Florida, who I met her on Twitter. She had many followers, and she was constantly talking and trying to support people with mental illness and especially suicidal ideation. And she was talking to I just watch her interact with people and decided to invite her on my podcast. And she told this story about a man who was about ready to end his life, and his dog came up and put his chin on his leg. And just that one act alone stopped him. And I think that a lot of times when we, especially like when we talk about volunteering and we want to get involved and we want to make a difference in the world, we think about making huge and grand gestures that everybody will know about. And what we need to remember sometimes is that it's the little things. It's saying hi to somebody. It's smiling. It's, putting your arm around somebody, just showing you care. I had an instance in the shelter one time where a resident started talking about just some things that I didn't understand, and it turned out there was some schizophrenia, and I have no training in that. But he was talking to me about cars, and he'd actually show me pictures outside of his apartment, when he had an apartment, of vehicles that were out to get him. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Luckily, I pat myself on the back a little bit. I just listened to the guy, and I realized that this was his reality, and there's nothing I'm going to do to convince him otherwise. So I don't want to fuel the fire, but I can just let the guy know I care about him and know how hard that must be to think that.
Right. Well, that's really handling it, Mental Health 101, from realizing that you don't buy into it, but you also don't deny it, because you're right, that is his reality right then. And for you to say those cars aren't after you, well, now maybe he doesn't trust you.
Correct.
Maybe he thinks you're in with them. So that ability to really just let somebody know, I don't know what that's like, but what I can see is that you're having a really hard time. How can I support you?
Yeah.
And what a difference.
I don't know how much time we have left.
Yeah, we've got a little time.
I wanted to
tell us a little more about that podcast.
Yeah, so that's where I was going to go, is because I wanted to talk about why that came up.
Yeah.
And it as I told you and shared with you before, my wife and I, our family, we had that tragedy in 2019. Our youngest son, Waylon, died. We don't know whether it was suicide or a choking challenge. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. If you're a parent of a teenager, you should probably know what that is. But when that happened, Waylon had been going through some serious mental health challenges. He had been diagnosed just weeks before with kind of the catch-all when they first get you into the system of depression and anxiety. So we started medications, therapy, and all these things. But I'm a military guy. Spent 10 years in the Navy. My dad was a military farmer. All these things, right? So work hard, discipline. When somebody's not behaving properly, you kick them in the butt and teach them the way to move on,
Rub
right?
some dirt in it and let's move on with things.
And I say all these things not as a way to bash myself. I actually went to see a therapist after he died, and my therapist, as I'm talking to her, she's like, Jeff, when we know better, we do better.
Yeah.
And I was doing what I knew at the time and what I thought was the best way to help Waylon, and it wasn't, as it turns out. And so I started at his memorial gathering. We had 400 kids from his school there, and I wanted to be able to give them an answer and some hope. And I really felt like love gave both of those. So Love is the Answer, as the podcast came about because of that talk that I basically gave to those students. And just, look to your left, look to your right. We're all going through something at any given time. And God, if we would have just been a little bit nicer, maybe the outcome would have been different.
Sure.
And that's what I'm trying to just put out there as much as I can. Let's just be kind. Let's just take care of one another. Give people the benefit of the doubt, and do the things that we need to do. Train ourselves to be able to tolerate somebody's cruddy behavior.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
because that's the hard part, right? Is like, you know, when there was another gentleman who kind of escalated at the shelter one time, and he was having some religious, you know, and he was starting to quote out of the Bible and get really kind of fire and brimstone and behaving in a way that could be kind of frightening.
Sure.
And
sure.
so, again, it's just dialing it back and trying to figure out a way to best support him through that moment, and by not engaging him on the same level he was and staying calm, I think, and just trying to focus on being kind and helping him through that moment. And I think if you can't go wrong if you just are nice. You can't go wrong if you're just nice.
I love it. We'll have some information at the end of the show about where you can check out his podcast and more information on that. Jeff, in the last couple minutes we have in being kind, in the things that drive the shelter's ability to do more good. Your work as the development officer, it's around volunteering and donations. You talked about the big gesture. Everybody's like, man, if I could just write $1,000 check. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that, right? Because we get enough people. You talked about those 5 people who could give a little something. What are the needs right now, and how can people get to you, either if they want to volunteer their time or even have a little donation in this trying time to make?
Yeah, thanks. So the website, www.steppingstoneeh for emergencyhousing.org. Right on the homepage, there's a nice little donate button right there, and then as you scroll down, it talks about some volunteer needs that we have. The impact that somebody can make with a $50 donation is one night of shelter for one of our residents. It's actually about $45 for a night to shelter at one resident. That's 3 meals in a day, laundry, everything they need. They get that address. So the donations are great. I have put a significant amount of energy and effort and emphasis this year on improving our volunteer base, because, you know, if somebody gives, I don't care whether it's $10, $1,000, $500, nobody's running out telling all their friends and family how much they donated.
Yeah,
right? But our volunteers who are in there are going out and talking about their experiences with their friends and family. They're talking about what Stepping Stone does, how it impacts and changes people's lives, how it's changing their life. You know, I mentioned I would go on Tuesdays. I own a business, a catering business. Have struggled with that for years, and was full of all this, you know, doubt and worry and fear. And every Tuesday when I went into that shelter at 11 in the morning and worked until about 1, doing the meal, that was the very best day of my week, and it carried over. Getting out of my own head and focusing on somebody else's needs did wonders for my own mental health. So I highly recommend that as a prescription to feel better.
If you, you know, we often talk about the little drummer boy syndrome. I have no gifts to bring, but your ability to be there for other people, be an ear, serve a meal, to show that you care, be kind. Let them know that despite what they're going through, there's people that recognize that they're human beings and they deserve love and compassion. Jeff, incredible the work that you're doing. We'll have your information up so people can reach out, check out the shelter. If you have an opportunity, give a call out to Jeff or to
Julie
Jepson. Julie Jepson, we're calling you. And find out the work they're doing over at Stepping Stone Emergency Housing Shelter in Anoka. We're so glad you could be with us, Jeff. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Get in there.
Okay, we'll be back in just a minute with Miki Speer.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit those raindrops. raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun. And I said I didn't like the way he got things done. Sleeping on the job, those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. But there's one thing I know, the blues they send to meet me won't defeat me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining.
Yeah. All right. Hey, how are you? I'm working to get Miki on the line here, and you know, it's Zoom, and that's how we're getting her in here. So in just a minute, I will be back in there. Here we go. Start, and I'll bet she's just sitting at the door, knocking, waiting to come in. So let me pull her in here. It's firing up. You know, one of the big improvements that Gabriel has brought to the show was looking at our internet connection. After that first show where on Facebook you'd get about 30 seconds of show and then it would stop and then it would start again and there'd be about 18 seconds of show. And it was horrible to watch, to try and piece them together in the right order. So he's helped us get upgraded a little bit. In the department of internet speed, which you would think would help this right now, and I can really talk through it. Miki, if you're out there watching, please stay with us. We'll be right with you.
We're trying to get her on Zoom.
Yeah, we're trying to pull her in on Zoom here, you know, which I'm doing the old Zoom face going, what does it matter? So Miki Speer, nonetheless, I'm going to talk about her until I get her on here, because I'm waiting for the program to respond. You know, I probably shouldn't have 42 windows open in my browser. Does that make it harder, Gabriel? If I have like 35 different pages of Amazon open, I'm not buying anything. I'm just looking. Oh boy, there it is. It's not a show if we don't get an oh boy from Gabriel. That's wow. Okay, I'm waiting for the program to respond, but please respond if you could. Miki Speer is going to be with us in just a moment. Why don't you hang out and watch this?
She said you got to let her in.
I got to let her in. My software's got to let me in. I mean, can you let her in? Open the door, let her in. Yeah, let her in, yeah.
Is it just rotating?
No, this is, see, and I'm all ready, Miki, too. I got a little...
Just restart and say another joke.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that and say another joke. So, okay, close the program. I'm going to walk you through these very delicate steps here as I close the program. And Miki's like, no, I just got here. She's probably already tired from her show. Here we go. I think it's firing up. It says connecting. Oh, things are happening. Seriously? Seriously?
No, seriously?
Okay.
With you?
All right. There's 2 participants, it says.
No, Chris Shaw.
I don't know who the other one is.
Chris and Gabriel.
I mean, just me and Gabriel talking to each other. 2 men, no pants.
That's scary.
Oh, no. I think Miki just dropped off the call. She's like, this is not what I signed up for. I didn't know it was that kind of show. It is, seriously. All right, I I've got the hour.
Separate rooms.
My hourglass is spinning. Oh yeah, we're in separate rooms. He's actually in a booth, so yeah, he's kind of like Gabriel under glass. There's a window and everything. So, you know what? It wouldn't be a show of Seriously Mental if things went perfectly as planned. I don't think.
Live never goes planned.
Well, Miki, just start playing your song and singing, and imagine we're there with you. And then we'll have you do it again in just a minute. Good thing we had planned some time for this. In other news,
In other words, Connor's still here with an E.
you know, that's right. Jeff Connor with an E is here, and we're about to give him a tambourine and have him sing something. Maybe a Beatles favorite. I don't know. Wow, this is. I don't want to leave the meeting because if I leave. Okay. Gabriel, why don't you take us out to another one of those fabulous commercials? And I'm going to shut pretty much everything else down, these 42 windows. And we'll be back in just a minute, I believe, with Miki Speer. Thanks.
Ooh, there you looked like the Tonight Show.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay to think you're in a toxic relationship with the world right now.
It's okay to feel like your world is changing.
It's okay if it's hard to find the words to express how you feel.
It's okay to feel like you just want to become someone else.
It's okay if you're panicking over an inability to control your life right now.
It's okay to have trouble maintaining your normal routine while staying home.
It's okay if you're feeling more cynical than usual.
It's okay if you want to curse more than you usually do.
It's okay to wear your favorite tank top several days in a row.
It's okay to miss your job.
It's okay to just stay quiet.
It's okay to be depressed.
It's okay to talk to your cats like they understand what you're saying.
It's okay not to feel the most fabulous right now.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
We must slow the spread of COVID-19 to protect our communities. Right now, it is important to wash your hands often, get tested if you have symptoms, stay 6 feet away from other people, wear a mask when you go out, stay home when you can, and work from home when able. Thank you for doing your part. Stay safe, Minnesota.
Just in case.
I'll talk about a couple of these things here that I was going to mention.
We must slow the spread of...
I think. I think Miki is talking in the booth to Gabriel. And so I wanted to show you something exciting. We talked a little bit earlier about teen mental health first aid that really has gotten up and running across the nation this year. Here's one of the new manuals, just like the manuals that we provide for adult and youth mental health first aid, except these are made for the teens to take the course and then be able to provide those services, recognizing signs and symptoms of possible developing mental health issues or substance use disorders, and how to respond to a friend, to a stranger, to really make a difference for them in their life. My computer right now, Gabriel, is showing a beautiful picture of a garden somewhere in another country. And there we go. Hey, look at that.
Ooh, nice.
Isn't that lovely?
It's gorgeous.
That's our backyard. Okay, hey, there's Jeff in there. See, they just told him they wouldn't do that, and then all of a sudden,
We lied.
I don't believe you anymore.
he had jumped in, taking his pants off, and was trying to get comfortable, and now you've really.
Now here's the trust issue.
That's right. That's right. Oh man. Okay, I'm firing up here. I'm looking for a browser. Miki Speer. I hope you can't hear me, 'cause you'll be embarrassed by how I sing. Yeah. All right, there's a Google Chrome browser. Let's give that bad boy a try. And has this ever happened to you? You've been trying to log into an important Zoom meeting, and all of a sudden, you're spinning and spinning. I'm not Jeff Connor, but I can play him on TV. Thank you. There we go. Computer guru.
She just said, "Oh, I hear you loud and clear."
Oh my gosh. I've got a new title, Computer Guru now. Now that's just mean.
Miki just said, "I hear you loud and clear" on Facebook.
Oh boy.
You're that giggle?
Oh boy.
He's in there giggling. He can hear you.
Sue's like,
I keep forgetting that he can really say whatever he wants under my name there. So I'm lucky that's the first thing I've noticed. I don't know what else he's actually called me at this point. So, Miki, how did your show go tonight?
You want me to ask her?
You can dress him up, but it sure doesn't make a difference, does it? I said to Jeff earlier, you can put a blonde wig and a floppy hat on a pig, and it's still a pig at the end of the day, isn't it? So,
Bacon.
All right, I almost have a browser up.
Way to go.
Who else is running DOS at home besides me? I thought this was going to go forever, and people are like Windows 95. You should have that. Well, no, I'm not ready.
You're still paying for AOL, aren't you?
Now that's right. I'm one of the last 17 people in the country with an AOL account for my email. But that's because they keep sending me the free discs, for another 2,500 free hours. And I'm like, well, what am I doing for the next 2,500 hours? I'll be on AOL. And the hardest part is probably the dial-up. Yeah. All right, here comes Zoom. Zoom is about to happen, Miki.
Nice.
Miki.
Oh
my gosh.
Great, Chris.
This is fun. Congratulations on your show getting canceled after 3 episodes. Yeah.
So we had 0 comments when it was
Seriously Guru. That's right. It's Kershaw Seriously Guru with Miki Speer coming in. Now she's going to have to let me in the room, probably. No, you can't. You can't come in. People. It's connecting.
We want music.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. See, this would have been a good week not to have a musical guest, and I could have just started playing some music. But Miki is all geared up, probably at the. Keep flopping that Seriously Mental logo over and over. So as people out there are disappointed in the outcome here, they can know where to find us.
You ready to hear what Sue has to say?
Yes. Who's Sue?
Chris says. She says, "Chris, you should be a stand-up comedian."
Really, Sue? I'm trying the sit-down comedian thing because I'm tired, Sue, is really what is going on here. Those guys stand up for like an hour. I have a hard time sitting down for an hour. Boy, it is saying it's connecting, but I don't believe it. I don't know. I don't know. What do you do in this situation, Gabriel?
He's working on it.
He's working on it.
Go home.
We've got our best man on it.
9 o'clock, go home.
Usually on regular TV shows, when something like this happens, they'll try and cover it all up and put on other segments or things like that. No, we're keeping you with us through this gripping struggle, where my anxiety level is really putting a new hole in the roof here. It's a good thing this window doesn't open. Don't go up there. It's a mess. Whoa! I gotta change the bulb in that lamp. Woo! You're giving people vertigo out there, for gosh sakes.
I'm gonna throw it up.
I'd like to go visit this guy right in this little office right here. If you can see him there. Right there. How's he doing? That's actually where Miki is right now. And I can't get from my computer over to her at that spot right there, which is really hard. Gabriel, I'm going to need a little, I'm going to need a hug, really, at the end of this. Send you a connection. Send you a new one. So why don't I just try a whole new one? And folks, hang in there. It's 9 o'clock. But you know what? We're going to ride right on through. Whatever show was supposed to come on after us is being preempted for some serious Miki Speer. So here, new meeting. Why don't I have a new meeting? Let me see if it'll let me get on a new meeting. Maybe that old meeting just was...
You have served our country and made us proud. Many of you are still serving. Some of you have come home to our communities where you continue to lead and contribute. Some have come back from deployment to find new challenges at home. Every family can have challenges. In or out of uniform, we need you to continue to serve and help your battle buddies, families, and communities. It's important that we all learn the 5 signs of emotional suffering: personality change, agitation, withdrawal, poor self-care, and hopelessness. If you or someone you know is experiencing one or more of these signs, reach out and offer to help. I reached out for the support I needed, and it made all the difference. This is how we keep our units, our families, and our nation strong. Visit changedirection.org. You have served our country and made us proud. Many of you are still serving. Some of you have come home to our communities where you continue to lead and contribute. Some have come back from deployment to find new challenges at home. Every family can have challenges. In or out of uniform, we need you to continue to serve and help your battle buddies, families, and communities. It's important that we all learn the 5 signs of emotional suffering: personality change, agitation, withdrawal, poor self-care, and hopelessness. If you or someone you know is experiencing one or more of these signs, reach out and offer to help. I reached out for the support I needed, and it made all the difference. This is how we keep our units, our families, and our nation strong. Visit changedirection.org.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun, and I said I didn't like the way he got things done, sleeping on the job. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. But there's one thing I know, the blues they send to meet me won't defeat me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining.
So while we're waiting, I'm doing a little reading from our next door neighbor, Maria. She dropped off some books for Christmas. This is Bubble Bear, and only babies blow bubbles, Badger told Bear. But Bear kept right on blowing. He blew and he blew until he had blown his chance at getting a show on the network. A great big bubble beast. He did. Yelled Badger. She ran behind a bush. She was afraid of the bubble beast because, you know, when you take your time to really do something well, amazing things can happen. Only babies are afraid of bubbles, Bear told Badger. I'd spill that all over my computer. That'd be great.
It doesn't work anyway. So.
And if we ever get Miki on, there'll be bubbles during her segment. Bear, I'm sorry I called you a baby, said Badger. Will you show me how you blow such beautiful bubbles? Why, of course I will. It's really in the dip. And you really want to use the big side, which the small side makes them, but not like the big monster ones like this.
I know.
You want to curse more than you usually do.
It's okay to wear your favorite tank top several days in a row.
It's okay to miss your job.
It's okay to just stay quiet.
It's okay to be depressed.
It's okay to talk to your cats like they understand what you're saying.
It's okay not to feel the most fabulous right now.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay.